right, now we're going to talk about the HubSpot settings that you need to make sure that you've got in your portal, right? The first one, and this is mainly for B2B, B2C, they're probably not going to worry about this, is to create and associate companies with contacts automatically based on their domain. And so that's a really good feature to have turned on because that'll do that automatically. And you can also exclude a domain from getting created with automatic association just below that as well. And the other one is to actually assign a company owner to a contact by default. This is another setting that can save you a lot of time, especially if you are in a business and if you've organized it well, the company owner probably manages all the contacts within there. And this is a great setting to have turned on. And there is another one where it says fill contact details from emails with HubSpot AI. That's another great thing to do because the AI will go through people's email signatures and messages and figure out what it can take to fill out within HubSpot. And you'll see that. When we talked about looking at a property history, you will actually see if a property's been filled out by the HubSpot AI and when it happened. So very important.
And this all relates to that inbox automation setting that you highlighted earlier. When you connect your email, make sure you turn on inbox automation.
And then I'm going to give you another tip, Craig.
Yeah.
People that have signatures that are basically images stops the AI from actually reading it and filling out the information. So I think I'd rather have a simpler signature where the AI can read it and fill this out in CRM rather than have a fancy signature where it can't be read and filled out.
But surely that'll get solved soon
I'm sure
enough.
it will.
It'll just read images.
Correct.
So to be able to tell all that. Just on that setting for assign company owner to contact by default, you might think, why would we not have that ticked? Why isn't it ticked always? And the answer is sometimes, especially in big multinational companies or government departments, lots of departments, you have different divisions of a company and each division has a separate company owner. And so when a new contact comes in, it kind of normally gets associated with the first primary company. And so then if you had this setting on, it would set that company owner to the contact owner. Sometimes you don't want that. And so then in those scenarios, businesses like that, we turn this off because they then like to say, oh no, hang on, I'll just check. Oh no, it's not that division of Disney, it's another division. And then they manually set the company, the contact owner. There's reasons why it's not on by default, but for most companies, we just have it on.
All right. Tell us about lifecycle stage settings, Craig.
We didn't used to talk about lifecycle stages much, Ian.
No.
Especially not as setting up fundamentals. But we've added it in now because it tends to be a time saver. And let me explain what I mean by that. So we would find, we go into new portals and we go, everyone is either a lead or an opportunity or a customer. There was nothing in between, no MQL, no SQL, nothing for former customer or anything, because they weren't doing anything. But what we found is in those cases, if they had lots of contacts, they were actually using a lot of time, especially sales reps, like everything's a lead. And they weren't realizing, this hasn't been qualified, or marketing hasn't qualified and handed over to sales, and then sales hasn't qualified. And so it reduced the ability for sales reps to focus on their highest priority contacts. And so that's why we do talk about it pretty early now with clients. Get these settings in place and make sure that as contacts qualified, you update the lifecycle stage. Helps marketing be a lot more focused on the content they see, but especially for sales, helps them to be much more efficient on who they're prioritized to chat with.